You are tuning into BoxStory alongside Women's Fight News. My name is Rack Noble, and with Sasha Jones today, we're going to be reviewing the month of April and all the fights that will be coming up ahead for the women's boxing scene.
Exciting times as well. It's been last month was a good month of boxing, women's boxing.
Yeah, so we came together last month to review the mega march of boxing for women, and there were some amazing fights and amazing lineups going down. And just looking at some of them, Anabel Ortiz versus Seneisa Estrada. How did you find that fight?
I was surprised. I knew Estrada would win, or I had that feeling, but I was surprised how she made Ortiz look so average. Yeah, it was a funny one. And I mean, Estrada does the same every fight for me. Like, how many jabs does she throw in a fight? Not many. Like, I think she come out and I think she like threw 3 left hooks as her first few shots. Like, she just goes for broke right from the get-go. Yeah, she just overwhelmed Ortiz, I thought. It was a good fight. It was a good scrap, but yeah, Estrada done kind of what she does in every fight, but I really expected Ortiz to be able to handle it a little bit more, maybe box a little bit more. She looked a little bit lost to me.
I think Anabel looked completely lost. So going into this fight, of course, Anabel was the reigning champion for around 7 years, 12 defenses. Nothing establishes anything more than a bona fide champion than that on your CV. But when the fight went down, Seneisa was in control from start to end. I don't think there was a point or a moment or a second when Seneisa looked like she wasn't in control of that fight. She looked like the champion going in there. She looked like the long-term belt holder. I'm very skeptical when promotions promote fighters and tell me that they're going to be the next big thing or they're going to be great. And as Golden Boy had done this for many years now with Seneisa, I was starting to feel, is this just a marketing play? Are you just telling me this because you want to line your pockets? I was wrong. It turns out she was the real deal. She's completely 110% everything that they've made out she to be. Seneisa, she's now my pound for pound top 10, and I'll be tuning in at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. in future to watch whenever her fights are on because, yeah, she's super bad.
She's so entertaining. She is so entertaining. So even though, like, yeah, she doesn't throw a jab a lot and stuff, she's unorthodox. I quite like that. I like her style. Yeah, she's just brutal, and because she's so tiny, but you can still feel them punches. You know, she's very strong. But I like her tempo. She just does not slow down. Right from the first round to the last round, she just kept that pace up, and she's so entertaining to watch.
This was my first Estrada fight watching, and I can see how she's got a good ratio of knockouts behind her. She doesn't stop pummeling. She throws punches in a mass abundance, spiteful punches, painful punches, hurtful punches. And I think it was anybody else, they could have possibly gone out there within that 10 rounds. If we're going to look at the rest of the division that she's in, the other champions that are currently there, I think they're going to have to bring something very special to the table if they're going to derail Seneisa, seeing as she just beat the champion who's been reigning for 7 years now. I think it's going to take a lot to take her throne from her. She's here to stay. She's top 10 pound for pound. Another win like that, you can throw her in your top 5 and you can tell everyone that she's going to be the future. But it's exciting times ahead.
Yeah, definitely. And I forgot this until I was looking back at some of her fights today, that I think it was last year or early last year, she got a knockout in 7 seconds. And I remember, but I didn't remember it was her, if that makes sense. And I mean, it was a very mismatched fight, but she done what she done in this fight and just sprints to her opposition and just throws leather non-stop.
Yes, I did see that fight. I remember seeing I've seen the highlights of that fight many times over. I had no idea who it was. It wasn't until I saw her against Anabel Ortiz that I put it together. Oh, so that was Seneisa. So that's just a taste of what she can do to someone who's at a minimal level. And we've now seen what she can do to someone who's at a world level. Yeah, she's a special case, an extremely special case. I look forward to seeing her moving forward in the future. Talking of pound for pounds, another pound for pound fight is our girl Amanda Serrano had an amazing performance against Daniela Bermudez only 2 weeks ago in Puerto Rico. How often do you see top pound for pound fighters getting stopped by body shots in the female division? How often do you see that?
It's amazing, isn't it? I mean, but Amanda is going to be able to do that, isn't she? You just don't put that past her. But there's no one else really that's capable of doing it. That's what makes her so dangerous.
See, the thing is, in female boxing, you don't see as many knockouts as you do in the men's boxing. So when you get a knockout, it is something to see. But to get a knockout or a TKO from a body shot, that's even more rare and exceptional. And it just kind of shows the skill and caliber level that Amanda's operating at. She has that skill. She has the skill set in her arsenal to carry that out. And to, like I said, to a top 10 pound-for-pound competitor, this isn't just to anybody. This isn't just to someone just passing by or trying to find a way. This is to a girl who has won world titles at 3 weight classes and hasn't lost a fight in 7 years. And Amanda was able to deal with her like that. Phenomenal. If someone came to me saying Amanda is in your top 2 pound for pound, I couldn't argue with that. I could see your point for there. I wouldn't argue with that.
Yeah. And again, she's another example of where she's just made the top, 10 pound for pound boxer look average. There was no other way about it. I think Bermudez looked lost again. Like, I'd love to know what her game plan was, because right from the first bell, she just looked lost. And again, Serrano's very good at keeping the distance, using a jab. But as soon as she was on the inside, she would catch Serrano sometimes, but I think it was more she'd close her eyes and just swing. Like, I don't think there was a lot going on. And again, I'm not convinced she had a game plan, but it's easier said than done, because you're facing Amanda Serrano, who demonstrated every type of skill. Her shot selection was perfect. She was efficient. Her movement, the angles she would create, and her power. She just done everything perfectly.
I think after that, Amanda Serrano is, I think, the third all-time knockouts of any female in boxer. I think she's tied with Chrissy Martin, and there's one more person in front of her, but she's breaking records all around. World titles, knockout ratios, pound-for-pound listings. I truly think Amanda Serrano has already established herself as one of the best female fighters of all time. I think now she just needs that big unification or a fight with Katie Taylor just to cement that and show that she is the real deal.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see her unify this division, and then hopefully she could do that this year. But then she does need that big fight. She deserves it. She deserves the money as well for it. I don't understand how we're getting to this point where she's a 7-weight world champion. You could probably put her in any of them divisions that she's won a world title in, and she's going to unify. I just don't see anyone beating her. Yeah, she's avoided, isn't she? Because she by now should have had that big fight, and like the Katie Taylor fight, but I don't know if that'll ever happen. But for like Amanda's sake, I hope it does. Not even for her legacy, but I just think she deserves that. She deserves the stake to be risen. She deserves the money, and it'll just continue to add to her legacy.
Oh, most definitely. If anyone deserves it, no one deserves it more than Amanda. She's been in the game throughout the longest of a lot of these girls. She's had the most accomplishments, the most success. But it seems that since the boxing boom came along in 2016, they only seem to be counting the recognition from 2016. So everything she's done before that, a lot of the promoters are seeming to be like, but it wasn't when we was here, so you've got to kind of do it all again. So hats off to Amanda, hoping she does it. It's just a matter of time before she unifies the division. She'll unify it when the other fighters are ready to fight and come to it. And when it comes down to her and Katie Taylor, I think she'll take that one too, but we'll see forwards.
And that will be the biggest fight in women's boxing. There's not, in my opinion, any fight currently that can be made bigger than that fight. So to not make it would be such an injustice for women's boxing.
Eddie Hearn said it himself. Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor will be the Super Bowl of women's boxing. That's a fight. That's one of those pinnacle fights which everyone's anticipated, everyone wants to see. He'll bring the crowds out in the masses. He'll fill up an arena. It's something that, it's criminal if it doesn't ever happen in this day and age. So fingers crossed it all happens. Purse bids get sorted out. Everyone goes away happy. And we can see Amanda walk away, possibly a 2-weight unified champion. But we'll hold on to that for the future. Also looking around the islands of where Amanda's from, just next door to Puerto Rico, we have the Dominican Republic, and we had the all-female cards on Saturday. With quite a few interesting talents. We had the likes of Diana Santana, who was a former IBF featherweight champion. We had Diana Dominguez, who was a former opponent of Amanda Serrano and Cindy Serrano. And one of my ones to watch out for was a female called Yenebier Guillen, who was an amateur star. She won various international medals on the Pan American circuit and the Central American Games. She beat Raquel Miller. She beat Franchon Cruz twice. She had a few close losses to Clarissa Shields, but in the amateurs, everyone lost to Clarissa Shields, so it's just a given. But she's 7-0 right now. 7 KOs, looking very impressive. I hope somewhere along the line she gets picked up and gets a potential opportunity for something down the line.
Yeah, definitely. And we're seeing more of these all-female cards as well, which I quite like. I know this card had a few fighters that have been inactive for a little while, so it's great for them to come onto a nice platform like that. But yeah, it's exciting. I'm enjoying that.
It's good to see in the places where boxing isn't so big in the first place, or places where you're not expecting to see a multitude of boxing. It's good to see that they're also taking an interest in female boxing. You know, early this month, so this month we've had a all-female cards in America, the Clarissa Shields card. We've had the all-female card in Dominican Republic. On the 4th of April, we have an all-female card in Osaka, Japan. That's another one that's coming up to look forward to. So all around the world, they're taking notice and they're picking this up. So it's definitely a positive sign for the future. Yeah,
and this is where we'll get the next generation of fighters as well. When you're seeing these, I mean, I've got mixed opinions on the all-female cards. I think they've got a great purpose, but I wouldn't want to see them all the time because I wouldn't want it to become separate. You want, obviously, boxing to become equal. But I think what, you know, the fighters that we're seeing on these all-women cards, it is a great advert for boxing. And hopefully you'll have little girls who are sitting at home watching it, and it should be then hopefully the start of their journey to get even more women in the sport.
And it's just great that they're putting attention on the females for every once in a while. Put attention on the female fighters. Let some of the ones that maybe wouldn't get opportunities in the first place just get a bit of shine. The fact that it's all female highlights it. You get more eyes, you get more attention, and yeah, you can build from the brand around that. The other females in the country, they aspire to that. They know that there's a platform for them, and they can get themselves out there. Looking at the Dominican Republic cards, I'll be honest, I knew who none of those fighters were until I came upon the cards. I did some research and I found out about Yenebier Guillen, and I was like, wow, this girl really has a backstory to her. She can really probably go on to do some things. I'm not going to take note of her, and I'm not going to follow her career up. And I'm sure there's many people like myself and you who would think the same thing, and they've let off a few new boxers they're now going to keep forward of. So yeah, Yenebier Guillen, she's one to look out for. You can find some of her fights on YouTube, some of her amateur fights. Real stand-up fighter. She's got Wikipedia too. Can't find her social media, but I'm sure the bigger she gets, she'll probably crop up somewhere along the line. And just to mention one of those female cards, we have a WBO light flyweight female contest between Tenkai Tsunami and Shione Ogata. Once again, it's just great to see female world titles taking place, going down all around the world. Just more light, more shine. Excellent to see.
Yeah, and that looks like quite a decent fight. Like I say, I don't know a lot of them. When you look at the box rec, you know, Tsunami has quite a high KO rate. Ogata, I know she's got quite a few losses on her record, but they seem to have come quite early in her career. Mm-hmm. So, you know, they both haven't fought either for, I think, since 2019. Mm-hmm. So, you know, anything can happen, can't it? Like I said last time, if you haven't been in the ring for like 12 months, anything can happen. So I reckon that'll be quite an interesting fight.
Yeah, they're both coming on winning records. They both seem pretty well. Of course, Tenkai is the more experienced, but Tsunami Ogata, she wants to challenge, she wants to step up. Yeah, it's great to see world titles being contested all around the world, all different kind of levels and abilities. Yeah, I'm all for it. I can see Tenkai has had a few defenses of her titles, but she ain't been in the ring for a while. So if there's ever a time to dethrone the champion, maybe you get them at a time when they've been inactive. So, you know, hats off to Ogata for taking this opportunity and stepping up. We will see on the 4th how that one goes down. So moving on to Japan, we have, it's not the headline act, but it could potentially be a headline act, and it could potentially take the whole headline. We're going over to the UK, Matchroom Sports. Interesting one. Shannon Courtney versus Ebanie Bridges. This fight's had a lot of speculation around it, and we've learned that it's now going to be for the WBA Female Bantamweight Championship. What are your thoughts?
I feel like I've got mixed emotions towards this one. I feel like there's quite a lot of negativity at them for the fact that they've been given this opportunity. Mm-hmm. And I think whether you think they should or shouldn't have this opportunity, can't blame the fighters. There is no way if a professional athlete is offered this opportunity that they're going to say no. Of course they're going to say yeah. So I don't think people should be given as much hate towards them too. Because you see it all the time in boxing, don't you? You know, people, whether your man just at the top 10, people get opportunities because it's a business at the end of the day. So I don't think they should be getting the hate that they're getting. But I think it'll be a war. I think they're both strong. They've both got decent KOs. But for me, I'm definitely going for Shannon Courtney on this one, which I seem to think everyone on Twitter's going the opposite way. I think Ebanie Bridges seems to be the favourite at the minute. But for me, I think Shannon, I think she's technically a bit more skilled. And I actually think she's stronger. I know Ebanie's strong as well, but I definitely think we've seen massive improvements in Shannon over the last few fights. I think the loss to ball has actually just helped her. And she seems more motivated than ever. She seems in better shape than ever. I think against ball, she was too heavy. I know they're going to be a lot lighter for this fight. And I definitely edge Shannon's defense over Ebanie's quite a bit, actually. So I'm going to go for Shannon on that one.
Yeah, it's a very interesting fight. I think a lot of people are going to be drawn into the weigh, and I think that's going to turn up a lot of heads as well. And as far as the fights go, so it being for a world championship, step that aside, let's just look at the fight. I think it's an interesting fight. Both fights have been built up. They've had a lot of eyes on them, a lot of attention on them over the last few years. Of course, Shannon Courtney's been the matchroom home fighter who we've seen grow and develop from the very start of her career up until now. Every fight of her has been on air. We've seen her develop all the way. Ebanie Bridges built her own little cult following on social media online from Twitter and Instagram. She has a whole lot of people backing her, a whole lot of fans, a whole lot of people seeing what she wants to do yet. It's a very interesting fight, and I don't think there's any reason why they shouldn't be getting in the ring together. It's good business sense. The fight's caught a lot of people's attention. It's caught a lot of interest. Should it be for a full world title? I can't fully agree that it will be. It should be. But hey, as athletes, you're not going to turn the opportunity down. So nothing to them. You grasp it with both hands and you go for it. They're both in very similar positions in that they both not had any amateur background. They both started off as pros. So what you see on their records is pretty much what you get. Ebanie's had the 5 fights. Shannon's had the 7 fights. They're around the same level. I've seen that Ebanie's gone up to Philadelphia to train. So she's taking this seriously. She's really going to grasp this one on both hands. But I think it may come just down to the better fine-tuning and what's coming from their camp and from their team. It's pretty much, you're putting 2 novices out there. So there's still a lot of untouched ground for both of them in the sport of boxing. So I think it's going to come down to what their teams are going to provide and what their teams are going to put into them. So I know that Shannon Courtney's training with Adam Booth at his Booth boxing gym with a solid team around him. I don't know much about Ebanie's team. I don't know who her trainers are. But going on that, I'm going to sway towards Shannon just from her having possibly the better preparation, backing, and I know who the team is, so I can say they'll make sure she's doing A, B, C, and D in preparation.
Yeah, because I believe Ebanie's coach isn't with her. The last interview I watched of her, I believe he's not there. And yeah, and you've both sacrificed a lot to get where they are. I mean, I see on Instagram, Shannon Courtney stays in a hotel 6 days a week away from her home. Ebanie has once again left her, friends, family, her job to obviously travel to America to get to the UK. They've both sacrificed a lot. I think what will be interesting and what might make the difference is it's their first 10-round fights, the pair of them. I thought Shannon gassed out a little bit against Rachel Ball, but again, I think she wasn't in the right weight category because I think I still like Shannon winning that fight, but I think she really struggled towards the end. So if it goes the distance, I think it'll be interesting to see who can keep the pace up and the skill up in them later rounds.
So because we still have yet to see so much from either fighter, there's still a lot to offer, there's still a lot to learn about them. A lot of questions are going to be answered for the fans going into this fight, and that we're going to see, so who can dig deep? Who can go into the 10th and still look strong? I think both of these girls have already done a maximum of 6 rounds. So when it gets to 7, 8, 9, and 10, who's got that extra dig inside them to push on and go claim the victory? Who's going to keep punching to the final bell? So there'll be lots of things that we're going to see in this fight, which we didn't know before. I'm looking forward. Overall, you've got the pros and the cons, but overall, I'm looking more forward to the pros. I look forward to this one. So that's going to be on the 10th of April. Also on the 10th of April, we have Savannah Marshall defending her WBO middleweight title against Femke Hermans.
Yeah.
I think that's a good matchup for her first defense as a middleweight. It'll be interesting to see how this fight carries out and how she handles Femke, because it puts her. Of course, it's going to be a comparison between her and Clarissa. Clarissa went 10 rounds on points to defeat Femke. If Marshall can get her out of there early, then it's a statement. It's a statement.
Yeah. And I wonder if that'll put the pressure on Savannah a little bit. I wonder if she knows in the back of her mind that, you know, if I can get this, you know, Femke out early, she's really going to stamp her authority then. And then, because I mean, I think as you said, you'd like to see the fight between Marshall and Shields by the end of the year. What better way to go into that fight than being like, well, I took Femke out in, you know, however many rounds, because that, you know, that will definitely play on Clarissa's mind. But you then wonder if there's a little bit of pressure there. But I think it's a very good fight for Savannah. I think it's certainly not a walk in the park, but, you know, she'll come through it. And she's so strong. Like, I will be very surprised if it goes the distance. Very, very surprised.
Yeah, Savannah's, she's made a bit of a name for herself that she's a puncher. She can get people out of there. So I'm not saying she's going to do it with ease.
Yeah, because she's had...
Lines.
Yeah, because she's had 9 fights, hasn't she? And I think she's had 7 KOs.
Correct.
I think one of them, the one fight that went the distance, I'm sure was like her first fight. That was only 4 rounds. So you can't even really count that one, you know. So she's only had 1 fight. I don't know how many rounds that was, but it must have been 8 or 10. That's went the distance, and the rest she gets them out of there early. Like, you know, her last fight was obviously against Hanna Rankin. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I've got a feeling that Femke is gonna just go into survive, because I don't see her putting it on Savannah, because I think she'll be very aware of the power that Savannah has. So I think it might be one of them fights where we see a lot of holding and her opponent just looking to survive as many rounds as possible.
Of course, Savannah is going to want to finish this fight within anything. 9 rounds, 10 rounds, she wants to finish this fight. But at the same time, if she doesn't, I still don't think there's a massive pressure on her shoulders, because let's be real, the only person left for Clarissa to fight is Savannah. As long as Savannah doesn't lose, she's always going to be there as the person that Clarissa is left there meant to fight. So yeah, if she stops her in, like, let's say 6 rounds, it puts the pressure on Clarissa to say, oh, you got to take this fight, you got to take this fight. But even if she doesn't stop her, who else is there? Who else is there that they're going to draw towards the fight? She's still the only option left. So I think it's just a fight. As long as she comes through it with a win, the pressure's still on Clarissa's back to jump in the ring with her at some point, which I look forward to seeing that one happen down the line. Yeah,
definitely. Hopefully it can happen at the end of the year. I'd quite like that one.
Also on the 10th of April, we're going to go to Tijuana, Mexico. We have Chicago's Summer Lynn taking of Milagros Gabriel Diaz. Of course, Summer Lynn trained by Rick Ross out of the Rick Ramos boxing stable in the Body Shots gym in Chicago. Summer's a very promising welterweight on the scene, who's of course training alongside Jessica McCaskill, looking to possibly take over from Jess down the line. Have you seen much of Summer?
Yeah, I've managed to watch, I think she's had 3 fights now, hasn't she? So I've managed to watch them. I'm a big fan of Summer's. I like her. I like the way she boxes. I was lucky enough to speak to her and Jessica probably 6 weeks ago, maybe. And yeah, I like her work ethic. I think she's in very, very good hands. Obviously, Rick's done an amazing job with Jessica, and then she's got Jessica as a role model. She gets to train alongside her and work with her. So I think she's in such good hands. She's got incredible work ethic, and she's got a great skill set. So I think she's definitely going to be the future of that division for sure. And I think it'll be quite nice that, you know, in years down the line, that then belts will probably be staying at that gym, because once Jessica's ready to move on to other things, Summer's going to be ready to take over, which is so exciting.
Same city, same gym, same coach.
Yeah.
Just passing the torch over. Yeah, that's
exactly.
Ramos has done an excellent job with Jessica McCaskill, and if he does the same thing with Summer Lynn, then yeah, he could be a 2-time undisputed coach with 2 fighters, one after the other. Summer's, she's got 2 knockouts from 3 wins. She's shown good promise. This fight in Mexico is a 6-rounder. I think she should be getting through that one. Moving on, Rick had mentioned a fight with Caitlin Fellon, the Irish girl.
Okay, yeah.
Caitlin Fellon, I think she holds the WBC Youth Championship and a couple other championship belts. She's also quite highly regarded fighting out of Ireland. So down the line, that's a fight which I think would be very interesting to see between the two of them because yeah, they seem to be the next biggest thing to come out of the female division at welterweight. So keep an eye out for both of them. 17th. Moving forward, a fighter who's been inactive for the last 2 years, Hanna Gabriels makes her return to the ring on the 17th of April. She'll be fighting for the vacant WBA female light heavyweight title against Martha Patricia Lara. Of course, as we know, she was a former world champion, losing early to Clarissa Shields and to Oxandel Castillo. Top level fighter, world class in my opinion, getting herself back in there, looking to be a two-weight world champion.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, she was the fighter that knocked Clarissa down in the first round in their fight. I know she went on to lose the fight, but like I say, she thinks she's won titles in welter and super welter. So yeah, she's world level. It's nice to see her back in the ring, and it'll be interesting to see her at this slightly heavier weight and see what threat she can pose there. But yeah, it's exciting to see her back in the ring, and yeah, this should be a comfortable win for her, but a nice win to get back into the rhythm.
My apologies, she's going for her third weight championship, not her second. You're correct. She has won.
Yeah, she's won 2.
So they've gone for a third world title, and Hanna Gabriels is one of those fighters who've been in the game for a while now, and they've probably not got the recognition they should have. She's been around since 2007. She's been fighting out of where is she fighting out of? Costa Rica. She's been fighting out of Costa Rica. She's been winning world titles, fighting at the elite level. Gone so under the radar, but she is one of the few, you can say, elite fighters of the female fighting division. And hopefully she gets more credit down the line, but yeah, she's definitely one to pay a note for. Before Clarissa Shields came along, you had fighters like herself, fighters like Oxlande, Castillo. Those girls around those division, they were fearsome, but just never got the recognition or accolades commercially as they most likely deserve. But yeah, really good fighter she is.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if the opponent's been named for this fight, but moving on to the 22nd of April, Jelena, super featherweight world champion who holds the WBA championship, I believe. She's boxing on the 22nd of April. An opponent hasn't been named just yet, but that should be an interesting one to see what she does next, because of course, Amanda Serrano is talking about unifying the division. She holds one of the pieces of the puzzle. What's her next move?
Yeah, I'm hoping this is, well, that's it. I'm hoping this is just going to be like a tune-up fight for her, and then she'll swiftly move on to the Amanda fight. That's all I want to see in that division. I just want to see whoever, I mean, I presume it's going to be Amanda, but whoever try and unify. So yeah, my guess is this is going to be like a little tune-up fight, and hopefully that fight can then be made like summertime. So we'll have to wait and see.
I think this fight's going to be on Ring City, USA. And I think Amanda said that she's going to be ringside to that fight. So I'm assuming they'll
what that means.
Words after that fight. You can't avoid me. We get on that ring next time you're out. So that's another really interesting one to look out for. Also, another fighter that's fighting for the first time in over a year, Heather the Heat Hardy, making her return to the ring against Jessica Camara. Another interesting matchup for Hardy, see how she's gotten, or see how she is now over the year out. Last time out, she lost to Amanda Serrano by unanimous decision. Has Heather still got the heat? Is she still coming with the fire?
I mean, I hope so. I'm a big fan of Heather Hardy. I always have been, and yeah, it'll be interesting. I know she's going to be fighting at a higher weight. I don't know if the weight's being said for this fight. I was trying to work it out, but I know Jessica seems to fight at like 143, and obviously Heather's last fight was 125. So it'll be interesting to see where they're meeting on that fight. But it'll be interesting because obviously Heather has been out for a long time. Seen on Twitter that she's had the vaccine and she's been ill for a few days. So obviously that can put you off your flow of training. So yeah, hopefully Heather comes through this, but I don't really know what's next for her. I don't know what direction she's looking to go in. I suppose once we know like what weight she's fighting, it might be a bit easier. But it'll be interesting to see what level she's at, because obviously I think, you know, she has been out for a long time and she's coming off the back of a lot. So I think it'll be interesting to see where she's at.
Yeah, her last fight was at featherweight. The girl she's now fighting is a super lightweight. So it'll be interesting to see what direction.
Yeah, it's a big, yeah. I mean, the last time I listened to Heather on an interview, I think she said that she'll never fight that low again. It's too low. She can't make the weight, or she doesn't want to make the weight, which I don't blame her. So she's obviously definitely going to be moving up. I don't know how much too, but it'll be interesting. I mean, I rate Heather a lot as a fighter. I think she's one of the toughest women to ever enter the ring. I think she proved that against Serrano. I think most people, the pace that Serrano came out in their first round, most people wouldn't have went a minute into it. And obviously, I know she didn't win, but Heather managed to go the full 10 rounds. So she's tough as they come. She's got a lot of skill. I'd like to think that she's still got a good few years left in it to maybe try and get a world title back and yeah, be on some big shows as well, because she's such a big ticket seller as well. So when the crowds come back in, I'd love to see her in some big stadiums and obviously doing her thing in front of the big crowds.
She's a popular fighter, and she's got a lot of heights that she can still reach. She won her world title from Shelly Vincent, the WBO. I think personally, for a first title defense against someone like Amanda Serrano, it's a risky one. You know, you're going up against one of the pound for pound best in your first title defenses. If she really wanted to, she could have dragged it out. She could have taken some voluntary defenses, versed some fighters who aren't as high ranked as Amanda, because come on, Amanda's realistically in the top 4 pound for pounds in the world right now. But yeah, that was a very bold move. I think if she was world title again and she wants to slow the pace down, she could be at that level for a lot longer. But all hats off to her. She took her first defense against Amanda Serrano, which is never going to be an easy fight. I think she can definitely come again.
Yeah, 100%.
And now, so already April's already lining up to be a big month for female boxing once again. We're going to creep one day into May, because on the 1st of May, we're going to get off to a big one. Probably one of the biggest ones so far. Katie Taylor defends her titles against Natasha Jonas. What do you think of that one?
I'm excited for this one. I'm excited that Tasha's got the opportunity. I'm really excited for her. And I'll be honest, like, I think she can cause an upset. I really, really do. I don't know whether that's because she's a fellow Scouser and I'm just backing her, but I really believe that she can, because, you know, I know Tasha come off a draw and a lot of people had a win and whatever, but she's coming in with a lot of confidence. Katie's coming in where she's not invincible anymore. After them 2 pursuing fights, everyone can see Katie Taylor as being very beatable. I know she won her last fight very easy, but she is beatable. And I think Tasha's strong and she'll be moving. Obviously, she's going to be at a higher weight than the Terry fight. And she rocked Terry a few times. Like, she's obviously strong. She's got big punches. She's a southpaw. I think she can cause a lot of problems for Katie. I really, really do. And I think it's going to be another but fair play to Katie for taking that fight, because there's a lot of risk and no reward really for Katie Taylor to be taking that fight. So fair play to her as well. But yeah, I think it's a big, big fight. And I think it's going to be so entertaining, no matter which way it goes.
Of course, Natasha Jonas was a former Olympian, so she's been at the Olympic level, same way as Katie Taylor has. Natasha Jonas put up a very, very good fight against Terry Harper. Some say she won, some say they lost, some say it was a draw, but either way, it was a very, very close one. She's at that level. We've seen weaknesses in Katie Taylor. Could this be a banana peel fight for Katie Taylor, which could be seen as one too many, a fight she didn't need to take? Like what you said, it's a high-risk, low-reward fight. If Katie Taylor walks away and beats Natasha Jonas on points, unanimous, all 3 judges' scorecards, no one's going to give her credit for this fight, because it was a fight that she was meant to win. If she loses this fight, it all gets taken away. So I feel it's definitely yeah, you're right. It's a high-risk, low-reward fight, because it's all to gain for Natasha Jonas, and Katie Taylor doesn't really gain much from this fight.
Yeah, that's it. That's why I was surprised. Like, I know there was rumours going around for weeks and weeks, and I was thinking, I don't know what's in it for Katie. But to be fair to Katie, she does always say she wants to fight the best. She wants to be active. So I suppose that's what she's doing. She's keeping active, putting herself in a dangerous position. But she's obviously got a lot of confidence. You know, she is the undisputed champion. Like, you know, she's got extreme confidence. But Tasha Jonas could ruin the party for a lot. You know, if Tasha wins, you know, you're taking away that big Amanda Serrano fight or the possible Jessica McCaskill fight. You know, you're taking away potentially opportunities from Katie. I mean, I'm presuming there's going to be a rematch clause, but you know, it's an interesting one, and I really do believe Tasha does hold some of the keys to being able to beat Katie Taylor. I really do.
I definitely think it's possible. I'm not going to write Natasha off. I think it's going to be a very close fight. Speaking to Rick Ramos previously in an interview, he said that he thinks this will be a fight that will take quite a bit out of Katie Taylor. So regardless of what happens, she'll win this fight, but it will take a lot out of her career-wise. So whoever her next opponent is, that could be the telling factor. So I think it's a fight that you would probably want to avoid Natasha Jonas, but now that it's at your doorstep, you've got to take it. Katie Taylor over the last few fights with Delphine Pursoon, we've seen vulnerabilities, we've seen weaknesses, we've seen parts of her boxing game that could be exploited. Has Natasha Jonas got the skills to pull them off? She's certainly shown that she has. So it'll be an interesting one going into to see how she performs in that one and how that one unfolds.
Yeah, because I mean, Tasha's shown that she is world level. You know, with that Terry Harp, I mean, I did have that draw, but either way, I mean, I rate Terry very, very high. I think she's an unbelievable boxer. So Tasha's at world level. Having said that, Katie had made improvements in this Pursoon 2 fights. I mean, I had a win in that. I know loads of people still had a losing. I thought Katie's defense was a lot better in that fight, which she's going to need, I think, against Tasha, because I think Tasha will take similar tactics to kind of trying to smother Katie. And because that's where the power is. Like some of her hooks against Terry, she was wobbling Terry. And if she can do that a few pounds heavier as well, I think Katie's going to be quite dangerous. I think Katie's going to have to try and really box and keep her range a little bit. So it's going to be an interesting fight.
Of course, the month of April, of course, that's May, but let's just say it's April. The month of April has a lot of top fights, a lot of world
again.
It seems at this rate, when we do one of these every month there seems to be a big month of boxing ahead of us, a big month to go. But yeah, definitely for the fights that we have this month, a lot to look out for, a lot going on, a lot of world titles, not just in the UK and USA, all around the world, from Japan to the DR to Mexico, top fighters getting involved, and it's just great for the sport. It's great to see.
Yeah, so exciting. Like you say, we're going to end up doing one of these each month because there's so much going on. There's so many fights being made that it's amazing. Yeah, long may it continue.
2021, well, 2 months into 3 months into 2021, we've already had a blockbuster amount of action happening for the women's boxing, so we'll have this to continue. Thank you for your time, Sasha. This is Box Stories and Women's Fight News. Looks like we'll be doing this once a month, potentially down the line. Anything to say to the people, Sasha?
See you next month.
It looks like it. See you next month. Box Story, Women's Fight News, we're out.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ready for new content dropping all the time. Also, give Women's Fight News a follow on Twitter and on Instagram.